Pterodactyl here, and today we're going to go over how a small engine works, how it actually operates in order to get it to run. Now, you may have heard of a 4-stroke or 4-cycle engine. It's the same thing. 4-stroke, 4-cycle, it's the same thing. An engine has to go through 4 different cycles or 4 different strokes in order for it to run. But these small engines, they actually run on magic. That's how they run, on magic. No, they run on 4 different strokes. So to illustrate this, we have a small lawnmower engine. It's a 4-stroke engine. The typical way to tell a 4-stroke engine from, say, a 2-stroke engine is a 4-stroke engine has a crankcase for the engine oil to lubricate the internal engine parts. A 2-stroke engine, the gas and the oil are mixed, and that's how it gets its lubrication. And that engine goes through 2 strokes, and we're going to illustrate that later. But first we're going to go over the 4-stroke engine. So to illustrate this, I brought in 4 strokes. And our first stroke is intake, which will be illustrated by Slipper.
What's up? I got to be intake. This is pretty awesome. Alright, so here's what it says. Air is mixed with fuel in the carburetor, and the mixture is drawn into the combustion chamber by the downward movement of the piston. The intake valve is open to allow the fuel-air mixture to enter the combustion chamber. The intake valve is opened at the proper time by the lobe on the camshaft, which is geared to the crankshaft. The exhaust valve is closed. So, what does that mean exactly?
Alright, so to illustrate that a little better, we're going to show you on this engine here. So as he stated that the book said, air is mixed with fuel in the carburetor. Now you're probably wondering, how does that work? So here's the carburetor right here. This is a float bowl carburetor. Now I have a loose carburetor in my hand. Here's the float bowl that we take off, and here's the float. The float's got a needle on it. And that regulates the fuel that comes into the carburetor, because here's the fuel line coming in. And then the gas runs in to fill up the bowl. And then when the bowl gets full, it shuts off the gas. Now as it's using gas, it opens it a little bit to let more in. Now that gas is drawn up through the center of the carburetor here. There's a nozzle that goes through the center. So, as it's stated in the book, as the air is being drawn in from the piston in its downward stroke, it's pulling the air in across here, which pulls the fuel out of the float bowl through the center nozzle, and that air and gas gets mixed, and then it's being carried into the combustion chamber. And on this engine, the air and fuel mix is being carried through this manifold tube, which in this engine is right above the intake valve. So as we rotate the engine here, here's the fins. See how the fins are curved for that way? As we rotate it, it's pulled, the piston is going down, which is drawing the air in, mixing that gas and air mix, pulling it through here, and as the intake valve opens, that mix is now focused right here in the combustion chamber. And this is the combustion chamber. We have the head off. This area here. See how that is? And there's the spark plug. So that's our first stroke. Air and gas coming in. Piston going down. Intake valve is opening. It's depositing the air and gas mix in the combustion chamber. And then now we go to our second stroke. Our next stroke is compression, which is being played by Uncle Andy.
Hey, how's it going? Sometimes I feel like I'm being compressed. Alright, what does this say here? Compression. As the piston reaches bottom dead center, the intake valve closes. The piston then rises, compressing the fuel and air mixture trapped in the combustion chamber because both valves are closed. I have no idea what I just read.
Okay, so now our piston is traveling down, and when it does that, it's sucking in the air while it's doing that. And just like Andy said, the intake valve is closed when we're at bottom dead center. Now the piston is traveling back up, both valves are closed, and in this case, you're gonna see this exhaust valve bump a little bit because this one's got a compression release on it. See the little movement? That's to relieve some of the compression and make it start easier. And then now this has compressed that air-fuel mixture at the very top. Now if you don't know what a compression release is, I've explained it in many other videos, but here's a camshaft that has a typical compression release on it. And here's the lobes that open and close the valves. Now this is all precisely timed to do this. And this is the compression release. So how this works is, as the cam is turning, if you notice, this part here on the compression release is sticking up above the lobe. So the tappet is riding on there, and it bumps the valve for a split second just to relieve a little compression and make it start easier. Then when the engine starts, centrifugal force will swing this weight out of the way, so that way as the engine's running, it's not bumping that compression release the whole time. And then when the engine stops, that lever returns to its normal position. So when you go to start it again, it'll bump the compression release. So that's how a compression release works. On engines that have compression releases, not all of them have a compression release. Our next stroke is power. And to play the part of that stroke is Skippy.
Hey, this is my favorite one. It's got spark plugs involved. Alright, as the piston reaches the before top dead center, BTDC, ignition point, the spark plug fires, igniting the fuel-air mixture. In the time it takes to ignite all the available fuel, the piston has moved to TDC, top dead center, ready to take the full combustive force of the fuel for maximum power and piston downward travel. The expanding gases force the piston down. Both valves remain closed.
As Skippy explained, as the piston is traveling up, both valves closed, just before top dead center, the spark plug will spark.
What kind of spark plug is that, Taryl?
A J19LM.
Looking a little rusty, eh?
So as the spark plug ignites, all those gases that are compressed here in the combustion chamber, it sets off like a small explosion because of that gas and air mix. And that happens just as it's reaching top dead center. And it's starting to travel back down. So when that mixture ignites, that little explosion helps to push the piston back down. So that's our third stroke, power. You understand that now? As the piston's coming up, the coil sparks the plug, setting off that small explosion, and this all happens in a split second as this is traveling up, and then just as it's starting to go back down, that explosion forces the piston back down. And again, both valves are closed. For our fourth and final stroke, exhaust, will be played by Anthony.
Yeah, I see what you're doing here, Taryl, and I don't really like it. exhaust? What are you saying? I emit stinky gases or something?
No. We were gonna use Elkskins because he's emitting stinky gases all throughout the day. It's just that he was busy today, and you happen to be in the neighborhood, so we just thought maybe you could do this for us real quick.
Yeah, all right. So anyway, exhaust. There we go with the emitting gases. I think you ought to be the exhaust. So anyway, as the piston starts to the top of the cylinder, the exhaust gases are forced out the open exhaust valve. After the piston reaches top dead center, TDC, the 4-cycle process will begin again as the piston moves downward and the intake valve opens. Whatever that means. You do what you do explaining that there.
Now we've just had our explosion in the combustion chamber, which is pushing the piston down. The piston's at the bottom, dead center, and as you can see, the exhaust is opening. As the piston is coming back up, it's pushing the exhaust fumes that were in the combustion chamber and in the piston chamber here. It's pushing them out the exhaust. And then as soon as it gets to the top, it closes. And now as we turn the crankshaft and the piston starts to go down, we start the process all over again. You got that? So let's do it. Now we're at top dead center. Both valves are closed. We start with our intake. Piston's going down, drawing in that gas and air mixture through the manifold, taking that mixture, depositing it in the combustion chamber. Piston's starting to come up, compression stroke. Boom, spark plug fires, ignites the mixture, pushes the piston back down. Exhaust opens, piston's coming up, taking all those gases, pushing them out the muffin. And then again, down again, pulling in the mixture, closing the valves, compression, ignition, igniting it. The explosion pushes the piston back down, opens the exhaust valve, and pushes the stinky exhaust gases out. Those are the 4 strokes of a 4-stroke engine, as illustrated by our 4 strokes. Now I gotta find 2 more strokes so we can do a 2-stroke engine. I couldn't find 2 strokes to explain a 2-stroke engine, so I'm just gonna do it myself. Now the first thing you need to know about a 2-stroke engine is you have to mix oil with the gas. It doesn't have a separate crankcase like a 4-stroke engine where you have engine oil and then you have a separate gas tank where you put just regular straight gas. On a 2-stroke engine, it gets its lubrication from the oil that you mix with the gas. If you don't mix any oil with the gas, you'll burn this engine up because it won't get any kind of lubrication. Now there's some different variations on how you get that air-fuel mix to the combustion chamber to ignite it. And we're going to show you those in this manual. That's the only difference. It still works on 2 cycles or 2 different strokes. There's just a different way of delivering the air-fuel mix. Some use a reed valve, some are piston port. You know, this is an example of a piston port where the carburetor is mounted right here. I didn't have a reed valve one to show you, but the reed valve is usually at the end of the crankcase, and the little flapper valves are what let in the air fuel mix. And then there's just different porting that deliver the air fuel mix to the combustion chamber and exhaust it. Some have funny pistons with like a wedge on it that help kind of deflect the exhaust gases out on the 2nd stroke. But these are different variations of 2-stroke engines and how they get that air gasoline mix. to the combustion chamber. So it just works on two simple strokes. You have your intake, your compression, and then your combustion, where the spark, combustion, when it sparks. So you got your air intake, it compresses it, and then it sparks, your combustion. And then your second stroke is the exhausting of that exhaust gases after you lit that air fuel mix. So that's it, just 2 strokes, up and down. That's why it's called a 2-stroke. Now I know what some of you are thinking, Taryl, you need to talk about Still's Fourmix engine. How come you didn't talk about a Fourmix engine? That's right, I can hear you. I can hear you through the screen. Still had an engine, or even still does, called a Fourmix. And what that is, that's a 4-stroke engine that doesn't have a crankcase for separate oil. You have to mix oil and gas. Isn't that weird? Isn't that a wacky concept? Those guys that Still came up with a Fourmix engine. It's a 4-cycle engine, but you have to run 2-cycle mix in it. Boy, that's probably really making your head explode right now. And it's the same thing. It's just a 4-cycle engine. It's got valves and a camshaft and everything, and it works the same way as a 4-stroke, run intake, compression, ignition, exhaust, except it doesn't have a crankcase for separate engine oil. It gets its lubrication from the oil that you add to the gasoline. Taryl, that's all fine and good, but how do I know if I got one of these Fourmix engines? Because it'll say on there, Fourmix. See how these smart people, are confusing us dumb people all the time with all their fancy schmancy high technological stuff. Well, I hope this helped in explaining the difference between a 2-cycle and a 4-cycle engine. I hope you learned something today, but you'll probably never use this information, because what do you need that for? If you're fixing this stuff, just fix it. You don't know what's wrong with it, just start changing parts until you hit the one part that makes it run again. No, I'm joking. I'm joking! Subscribe to this YouTube channel, Taryl Fixes All. That's me, Taryl. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram with your 2-cycle and 4-cycle engines. Go to our web store, buy some Taryl apparel and some Taryl stuff. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! 2-cycle, 4-cycle, explain! Woo!